Hi, my name's Clare Williams and I'm an instructor at Chesvale Dog Training Club. I've been an instructor for about 10 years and I've been training my dogs for about 15 years. I compete in competitive obedience and I've been doing that for roughly 10 years. Today we're going to look at how we start off teaching heel work for the competitive obedience ring and just looking at the very basics of how we start off. Before you start teaching your dog how to do heel work, you need to work out what it is that motivates your dog. Are they food motivated or do they prefer to work for toys? Because you need to have the right motivation and the right reward for the dog during all aspects of teaching this exercise. We find that the best way to keep the dog's attention while they're doing heel work is to teach them to target the left hand, because all the heel work is done on the left hand side of the handler. So we're going to show you some exercises on how we start to teach this. This is done off the leg to start with, and that's because it gives the dog the better opportunity to move more freely and to start building up muscle memory in all of these exercises. Don't be in any great rush to bring the dog onto the leg, because the more work you do out, the better the dog is going to understand its pace, movement and balance. So it's going to make bringing the dog onto the leg a lot easier. We're not going to look at teaching turns in this session because that's a completely separate session. At the very early stages of teaching, we would do the turns as static exercises to start with, so the dog has an understanding of the movement and of the position that we're looking for, which is much easier to do statically than it is to do on the move. The other element that we're going to look at today is teaching the dog the set-up and the set-off for heel work. But again, that's done as a completely separate exercise to start off with and not incorporated into any moving heel work at this stage. So it's really important that we keep all these elements separate so the dog gets a strong understanding of each of the elements without being confused with them trying to put everything together straight away. So here we have Gail with 4-month-old Polly, who's a Springer Labrador cross and is just starting out in her obedience career. This is a great age to start teaching all of these exercises, and in fact the earlier we start, then the better understanding the dog has of the exercise as it goes through its career. Now, as I said, the best way to teach a dog to start doing heel work is to target the hand. And so what Gail is doing here is just teaching Polly to target the left hand and to give her a reward for that. Initially we start off with having a tidbit in between the fingers, so the dog will automatically go to sniff the hand, but eventually once they get used to that, they will see the left hand and they will look to target it. As you can see, Gail's moving her hand around and the dog is going with the hand, so already she's getting an understanding. Touching the left hand is a good thing and starting to build in that focus. So moving on from that, once the dog's got an idea, we want to start teaching the dog how to target that hand in the rough heel work position but off the leg. So now she's going to be learning to be at Gail's side, keeping her body nice and straight and just targeting that hand. So first of all we do that statically and reward her. So that's just teaching her to be static in the right position for heel work with the head up, paying attention to the hand. Once she can do that, we then start moving that on so that she can now actually move a couple of paces with her head still upright, targeting that hand. We're not pushing it too far at this stage. She's only young, and as she grows, her position will have to change as she gets a bit bigger, so she's just getting the idea in these early stages. What you're also getting here is some nice attention for the reward. She does her piece of work, she gets the reward, and then she's straight back into Gail, ready to do it again. Once the dog's got confident doing that, then we can start moving at a more normal pace. So the dog is now learning to trot at the sort of speed we'll want her to do her eventual heel work. And all the while Gail's rewarding the dog, so she's finding this a really enjoyable exercise. Obviously Polly's just a young puppy, so she's going to be doing a bit of growing. If you've got a larger dog, then your hand is going to be a lot higher and still doing the touch. If you've got a much smaller dog, sometimes it's quite difficult to be able to have the dog touching your hand and actually be able to move in that position. So what I'm going to show you now is what I do with a smaller dog, where he's focusing on the hand rather than actually touching the hand. That did start as a hand touch when he was little, so he's got used to the importance of the hand, but usually that was done kneeling down, but now we're in a standing up position, he's going to be focusing the hand. So I'm just doing a couple of little hand targets just so he gets his brain in gear. Yeah, good boy. And then I might move my hand up higher so he's having to focus, and then I'll drop the treat if he's a good catcher, because you want him to remain as upright as possible with a small dog. And then we start moving that on. Ready, trotting. So he's just able to start moving. Good boy, well done. Getting him into it. You're not asking them to do too much at the moment, so you do a right hand circle. Good boy. Then we might go a little bit further. Okay, good boy. And Spratty, good boy, yes. Till the point where we can do a whole circle, moving him round with his head up, just targeting the tip bit. Good boy, lovely. Well done. So we're nearly around the whole circle. Okay, good lad, well done, good boy. So we can do it on the right hand, and then we also do a left hand circle. The dog has to collect himself a little bit more and get used to using his back end as well. Okay, get it, Spratty. Good puppy. Good boy. You can see the dog's quite free to move in the position, and it's about building up the length of time that they're actually doing this exercise. Okay, good puppy. What we can also do to keep it fun and light-hearted, which is what we want to do, is throw the tip bit to reward them and then get them to catch you up again. Spratty, good boy, well done. So I might have him trotting along. Trot, trot, trot. Good boy. Okay, throw the tip bit and get him to target back my hand again. Good boy. Get it. Spratty. Oh, good boy, well done. Spratty. And varying the length of time, I'm actually asking him to do this work. Get it. Good boy. Spratty. But always wanting him targeting that hand. Okay, good boy. Once you've got the dog confidently trotting out, watching your hand and working on your hand, you can start to bring them on the leg then, just for short periods of time. And what we'd normally do is tend to move towards the dog rather than bring the dog into you. Because he's quite small, I've got my hand down here, so I'm having him trotting out here, so I want to just be able to bring the hand in like this onto my leg. Sprout, here, what's this? Good boy. So we're just going to do some trot trots. Ready? Trotting. Good boy. And as you can see then, I'm just gradually bringing my hand in. Good boy. Okay. Good boy. So he's starting to come onto the leg. Trot trot. Good puppy. Yay. Okay, get it. Spratty. And it's no more than that at this stage, just a little bit of distance. Good boy. Whoop. Okay, good boy. Just bringing them onto the leg as they start getting used to that. So they've had all that movement off your leg, and all you're doing is just transferring that to be on your leg and just teaching them to move straight and come onto your leg. Good boy. You'll notice that when I've been bringing him onto my leg, I'm not giving him any command. I'm not using the word close at this stage. That's because he's still learning the close. He's not completely solid in it. And that's what we're going to teach as a static exercise to start with. Because what we don't want to do is for him thinking that close can mean that he's slightly off my leg or slightly forward. You want to be very clear that close means in absolutely the right position. So now we're going to look at how we teach the set-up and the set-off for the exercise, which is said we do as a static exercise to start with. Your dog will normally be in front of you, and you want to be able to bring your dog round to the heel work position. So the way we normally teach this, having the dog in front, is just starting to bring the dog behind us and to move on our hand. Good boy. Good. So all I'm asking him to do is move past my left leg and start to slightly turn with a view to coming into my leg. Think of a straight line along your left leg, and you don't really want your dog to pass that line behind you. Good boy. You can bring your back foot out as well to balance yourself if you need to. But all I'm teaching him is just to come round. Good. and onto my leg. So he's starting to think about that initial setup. Good boy. So bringing him round and onto my leg. Good boy. Good. Eventually we can bring that round into a sit. Sit. Good boy. And that's how we want the dog sitting, ready to start off our heel work. Good boy. I might give him a sit so he understands that's what we want him to do. Sit. Good boy. And that's the start of the dog understanding the close position when he's sitting by your side. Good boy. Once we've got that set up, we don't want to be in any rush to get moving too many paces, because usually the set off, particularly when you're first starting out, is the first bit that defines how you're going to feel about your round. If you and your dog set off together, you kind of think, whoa, this is going to be all right. But if your dog doesn't set off with you, then your head can go down and it can really affect the whole of the rest of your round. So this is a really important little exercise, just getting the dog used to setting off. You can set off on your left leg or your right leg, depending on your dog. With Sprout, I set off on my right leg because he's quite small and he needs a little bit of time to set off, but other handlers will set off with their left leg. So once he's set up and ready, I want him thinking about standing on that very first movement. I want his head in position to stay where it is, so I'm just going to move my right leg and I'm going to take the first step out, and he's actually standing on that but maintaining his position. Good boy. So that's the first step where I just take the steps. Sprouty. Good boy. And he's maintaining all his position, so when I bring that leg through, he is staying in that position. Good boy. Sprouty. Sprouty. Sprout. Good boy. So I got 3 steps there where he had his head up, he was on my leg, he was maintaining position. So that's all I'm looking for in this exercise, is just a few steps where he's staying on my leg, and that's all I'd be doing at this stage. Sprouty, close. Close. Good boy. Okay, well done. We don't need to do any more than that because we can build that up as we move on with his training. Good boy. So here we have Carol with Duck, who is a 3-year-old working sheepdog, and obviously a more advanced dog. So she's just demonstrating moving on the close exercise. So he knows his position and he knows getting into close. So now she's starting to move sideways to tighten up that position. So he's always thinking, wherever the leg goes, I go with it, whichever direction Carol's leg goes in. So sometimes Carol's moving a few paces, other times she's just taking 1 pace. And it's very important to vary all the exercises so that the dog doesn't get into a routine of knowing exactly what's going to happen next, because when you're working in the ring, anything can happen. The ground can often be uneven, so you may sometimes be moved slightly off course, you may stumble, you may be going up a little bit of an incline, which sometimes can slow down. So the more you can vary your training and vary the close position within that training, the more confident the dog will be to stay on your leg whatever happens.